Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first annual Anthem Voices Conference. My name is Jessica Lauretti, and I'm the Managing Director of the Anthem Awards. I wanted to start off today by saying a few things. First of all, congratulations to all of the winners and our Special Achievement honorees for the inaugural Anthem Awards season. This is a really special moment as we recognize the work of organizations and brands and individuals all around the globe have been making in this inaugural year. During the day today, you will see many of our amazing winners, but you can view all of them on our website at anthemawards.com. And I hope you'll go and take a look at all of the important work and incredible projects. We're so proud of what we're building at the Anthem Awards, and we're really humbled by the positive response and the extraordinary support that we've seen in this first season from global brands and national organizations to artists, creators, and local individuals making an impact in their community. It's also been incredibly inspiring to see so many interesting and innovative projects from around the world. It's truly our distinct honor to showcase and highlight this work and to recognize its impact across industries and issue areas. We launched this platform because social good has become a dominant force in mainstream culture. We want to show the world that all corners of our culture, from sports and entertainment to business leaders and celebrities, we're all standing up together to say that it is time for systemic change and that social good is what we value as a society. The ceremony for the inaugural awards will be immediately following this event this evening at 5 p.m. You'll be able to view that experience online at watch.anthemawards.com. It will be hosted by Jay Ellis and will feature appearances and call to action speeches from our Special Achievement honorees, Naomi Osaka, Adam McKay, Megan Rapinoe, and Dr. Jane Goodall. There will also be appearances and speeches from Bindi Irwin and all of our amazing Anthem Award winners, including Trevor Noah, the cast of Sesame Street, LeVar Burton, Robin Roberts, and many, many more. At this time, we want to stop and take a moment to say that while today is meant to be a day of hope and inspiration and celebration for the entire Impact community, we also recognize that we are living through tumultuous times. We want to say that we stand with the people of Ukraine and with the anti-war movement around the world. We also want to acknowledge all of the journalists who are on the ground covering the conflict. So before we get started, I want to say a few thank yous. So thank you to all of our presenters. All of our presenters today are winners in the inaugural award, and just thank you for the work that you do and for sharing your work with this community. We want to say thank you to the Omidyar Network for their support and sponsorship of this event today. We want to say thank you to Hopin, who is our official event partner, for helping us put together this conference. Thank you to all of our judges, the Anthem Academy, for all of their work in selecting their winners. It's so much time and dedication on their part. And then also finally, just to say, thank you to the entire Anthem Awards team. There are so many people behind the scenes doing this work every day, organizing this community. And so thank you for everything that you've done to bring together the conference and our ceremony this evening. A few housekeeping remarks. Just want to go through. So really, as we were putting together what we wanted to do for this inaugural season and how we could really highlight and recognize all of our winners, we thought one of the best things that we could do is really bring together people from across issue areas and different industries, from brands and nonprofits, journalists, filmmakers, creatives, so many different kinds of people working on so many different kinds of issues. We want to bring them all together on one stage to share what they're doing, share what's working, to connect and network and help develop partnerships so folks can work together. We're going to have, throughout the course of the day, you can see the entire schedule on the registration page. We have 6 panel sessions featuring many of our winners, and then we'll have 5 fireside chats that we'll have throughout the day. We'll also be moving between stages. So this first session will be on one stage, the next session will be on another. You'll be receiving announcements in the chat, and we'll give you a link to tell you where to go. The chat is open. We have Olivia from our team who is there to moderate. Please keep that a positive space, and feel free to converse with other folks in the audience. And also just to say, please follow us on social, share what is inspiring to you that you're seeing in this content today. You can use the hashtag Anthem Voices when you share that stuff, and make sure you tag us so that we can share it as well. And then we have 2 scheduled breaks. You'll find those in the schedule. And then just one final announcement is that we are conducting a contest today, which is that we are so honored to have Hopin as our official event partner for the first annual Anthem Voices Conference. Hopin's mission really exists to make the world feel closer. And so we want you to share in the chat, what is one thing that you are hoping to connect with today that could help you create more of an impact in your community? We will be looking at all of the answers to that question throughout the day, and then we'll have an exciting announcement later on. Okay, so with that, we are going to start our first session. Just roll right into it. And I'll be moderating. This first session is called the Academy Selects. And what we really wanted to start off the day by doing is show everyone the real breadth of work that has been as a part of this inaugural season. And so we have tons of different people from working on tons of different issue areas all together on one panel to share this work. So let's start by bringing everyone up, and I'm going to introduce our panel before we get started. Hi. Hi, friends. So many amazing humans all here today doing really wonderful work. Look at that. Okay. Awesome. Great. Okay, so I'd love to start by just welcoming and introducing our panel. First, we have Michael Tubbs, the founder and executive chairman of Mayors for Guaranteed Income. We have Jay Hogue, director of design and UX with Oomph Inc., and Jamie Escott, senior vice president of digital marketing at Bluehub Capital. We have Otto Bell, chief creative officer of Courageous Studios. Jody Dolan, founder of Dolan and the Laundry Truck LA. Jody Van Horn, senior director of the Play Movement Lab at Purpose. And Zach Usen, senior advocacy and communications specialist, advocacy and communication at the Lego Foundation. Jim Connolly, creative director from BBDO. Amy Merill, co-founder and digital director of Plan C. And Liz Lowdy, creative director of BBH USA, and Rafa Rizuto, chief creative officer of BBH USA. So awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. So in the first half of this session, we wanted to give everyone an opportunity to get the mic for 2 minutes and to share a brief case study and overview of the work that they were doing. First of all, congratulations to all of you for being inaugural winners. So in the first half, each person will come up and give a presentation of their case study. And then the second half, we'll have more of a conversation. And so we'll get started with the first half. First up, we have Michael Tubbs, the founder and executive chairman of Mayors for a Guaranteed Income.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Michael Tubbs. I'm the founder of Mayors for a Guaranteed Income and also the architect behind the first mayoral-led guaranteed income pilot in the United States. When we talk about a guaranteed income, we're talking about something as fundamental as the notion that every human being on this planet deserves the opportunity to live with dignity, that every human being deserves the dignity of an economic floor and the chance to live a life free from the scourge of poverty, of scarcity, and of lack. As someone who grew up as a child of a single mother in poverty, I remember watching how hard my mother worked and worked and worked, barely to get the inch ahead. And I'm so excited now to be joined by 70 mayors in 27 states, representing 26 million people, leading a national movement demanding basic dignity, and income floor for all people, the ability to breathe, to feel less anxious, and to provide for the basic necessities needed to be a human. COVID-19 and the reckonings globally around ending white supremacy and racism have really centered the fact that far too many people in our country are needlessly suffering from lack and economic insecurity and from not having the agency to make the right decisions for themselves and their families. And that's the ethos behind Mayors for a Guaranteed Income. Mayors are the moral leaders of this country that can speak, not just where we are, but where we should be. We understand that this idea of a guaranteed income is deeply rooted in the American story, from Thomas Paine to MLK to folks like Vice President Harris, who are all saying that folks need cash to build a floor, to have a steady foundation to live the life of dignity we all deserve. We have a growing coalition of 70 mayors who are pushing this conversation forward with a premise so simple. Do you trust your neighbor to make good decisions with money like you would trust yourself?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Michael. Next up, we have Jay Hogue, Director of Design and UX at Oomph, and Jamie Escott, Senior Vice President of Digital Marketing at Bluehub Capital, with their project 1% for America.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Congratulations to all the winners on this panel. 1% for America, or OPA, is a nonprofit initiative built to remove financial barriers to U.S. citizenship. Of the 9 million eligible U.S. immigrants, as many as 8 million never apply. The $500 to $1,200 application fees force some to turn to credit cards or other high-interest options. OPA wants to give this group a more ethical alternative to finance their citizenship. The online platform offers loans at 1%, as well as financial education and community support. For borrowers, there are no credit requirements in order to apply. For investors, they can donate or offer their support as a loan, which makes it possible to support even more borrowers. Crowdfunded and community supported, this project makes citizenship more attainable for millions of new Americans. Oomph and OPA's technology partners architected a platform that navigates complicated regulatory systems in the banking industry. The interface design simplifies the process, but also provides flexibility to investors and borrowers on terms and payment methods. Our design approach aimed to use color, typography, and design elements to instill trust and authority for this new organization in a market where distrust is rampant. The results will fuel 50,000 or more loans and $500,000 in raised capital from small to large dollar investors in the first 2 years. From building cities to developing new technologies to manning the front lines and to launching the small businesses that form the backbone of our communities, immigrants have always fueled our economy. With 1% for America and a self-sustaining community of borrowers and investors, more new Americans will complete their path to citizenship than ever before.
Amazing work. Thank you both for sharing. Next up, we have Otto Bell, Chief Creative Officer from Courageous Studios with their project MasterCard 1 Billion and Beyond.
Hello, folks. Good morning. Thanks for the chance to talk about this wonderful program. This was produced for MasterCard as part of their eagerness to bring 1 million people into the digital economy. There are far too many folks out there who are unbanked, and the pressure that puts on less privileged communities, especially on women, is actually incredibly well documented. And just bringing people into a banking system can greatly alleviate pressures on their time and resources. We went for this film project, we went as far afield as Tanzania, which during the pandemic was a hard thing to do. But the film that I want to talk about today, and the film that the Anthem Award specifically recognized, was actually for our work much closer to home in Harlem. And MasterCard has partnered in Harlem with Grameen America, Grameen are very well known as an organization giving out microloans, got started in India. But I don't think many folks are aware of the important work that they're doing here in America. And in 1 square mile in Harlem, we were able to find multiple examples of folks who are actively benefiting from this project. So there was Sheila Black, who runs Lehigh Clothing. There was Monet, who runs the Hair Hut. We had Lanice and Janine, who are running Vegan Hood. All these folks are within blocks of each other up in Harlem, and are benefiting materially from the Grameen MasterCard joint initiative. This is a real project aimed at getting folks onto the banking ladder. So there's no credit checks. There's no collateral required for these loans. There's not even a physical storefront that's required. Sheila, the sort of our compare, our MC in the film, she runs her business from the back of her truck. So these are real loans making a real difference to these folks. It also gets them into the credit system, so they can go to a credit bureau and show that they have a track record of building credit, and it's all just based on social capital. So the recommendation from a peer is enough to get you into the system and get you into banking. So it was really just amazing to work on this important project. I will say, I think the films were made all the more powerful by having the right folks behind the camera. These films were made by a great Black director here at Courageous. His name's Akil Gibbons. They were sort of written and produced by folks who themselves had been locked out of the banking system in their early 20s and knew what that felt like. And my hope is that comes through in the body of work, in the work in Tanzania, but also specifically in the work in our own backyard here in New York, up in Harlem.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Otto. Okay, next up we have Jody Dolan, founder of Dolan and the Laundry Truck LA.
Hi, good morning. I'm so honored to be here. I am the founder of Dolan, a longtime fashion brand turned premium scrubs brand for the healthcare profession. I'm also the founder of the Laundry Truck LA. It's just a mobile nonprofit providing free laundry for people experiencing homelessness. The common denominator here is just our commitment and our focus on dignity, community, and self-esteem. So Dolan is focused on designing the very most comfortable scrubs, perfect fitting scrubs using the most advanced technology and textiles, allowing these incredible badass healthcare providers to feel strong, seen, and considered working these long shifts. And through Dolan, we're able to enable a 1-for-1 model. So for each scrub purchase, we do a pound of laundry. In 2019, after volunteering on Skid Row and with a shower truck, I was able to understand some of the needs of this community and see the gaps in services. And using the Dolan platform and our relationships, I was able to develop a solution to deliver clean laundry, which is this everyday human need. We designed and built our very first trailer equipped with 5 washers and dryers, almost completely self-sustainable, just needing a water source. We now have 2 trucks to date. We've completed over 158,000 pounds of laundry. We estimate we've served around 10,000 folks. And we often hear our services really restore dignity and humanity, whether we're serving a single mom sleeping in her car with 5 kids, or a young kid that's just been kicked out of his house, sleeping on a church pew, but on his way to a job interview, or a chronically homeless older man. We know that homelessness has many faces, and if this past year has taught us anything, past few years, it's that we all could use a little bit of help and kindness.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. Next up, we have Jody Van Horn, Senior Director of the Play Movement Lab at Purpose, and Zach Usen, Senior Advocacy and Communications Specialist, Advocacy and Communication at the Lego Foundation, with their project Together for Play.
Thanks, Jessica, and hi, everyone. I'm Jody Van Horn, and I'm the Senior Director of the Play Movement Lab at Purpose. Purpose is a social impact agency that uses public mobilization and storytelling to help leading organizations, businesses, and philanthropies tackle some of the world's biggest issues. And our mission is to build and support movements for a more open, just, and habitable world. At Purpose, I lead our partnership with Zach and the Lego Foundation to ensure that every child has the opportunity to learn, develop, and grow through play. We're honored that our project, Together for Play, has won the Anthem Awards Silver Medal in the Education, Art, and Cultural Awareness category for Campaign Brand. We run campaign interventions in 4 countries, Colombia, Brazil, Rwanda, and South Africa, in order to inspire and support parents and caregivers to value and demand playful learning experiences for their children while building political and institutional champions to unlock playful learning at scale. So from the favelas of Sao Paulo to the northern province of Rwanda, we're working to ensure that all children, especially in vulnerable communities with limited access to time and resources, are supported to develop the physical, social, emotional, cognitive, and creative skills to thrive and succeed in an increasingly volatile world. In 2021, Together for Play reached more than 63 million parents and caregivers with messages and activities to help them value and engage in playful learning with their children. We achieved this by launching 12 geographically specific interventions developed and run by Purpose country teams in collaboration with nearly 60 partners on the ground. This year, we will expand our efforts to boost children's resilience and well-being, and we hope that you join us as we strengthen a global movement to build a world of play. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. So next up, we have Jim Connolly, Creative Director from BBDO, to present their work with Sandy Hook Promise, Teenage Dream.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for having me. My name's Jim. I'm Creative Director at BBDO, and yeah, I'm talking about a PSA we created for non-profit Sandy Hook Promise called Teenage Dream. So if you're not familiar with Sandy Hook Promise, they're a non-profit gun violence prevention organisation with a mission to end school shootings. And they've been working with BBDO in New York since about 2014. When we got the brief for this PSA, it was a bit different because schools in the US were still closed. But as schools reopened, we wanted to remind America of the physical and mental toll that school shootings were having on a whole generation of teens. And we knew that while school shootings weren't in the news, the risk hadn't gone away. So our idea was to take Katy Perry's bubblegum, carefree pop anthem Teenage Dream and subvert it to show the dark teenage reality of school shooting survivors. PSA features 11 shooting survivors performing and reciting the lyrics from the iconic pop song. They're all from different school shootings all over America. You can see on the slide there, you'll see a picture of Aaliyah. She is a survivor of the Parkland shooting. You can see she's holding up a phone, and on that phone is a photo of our friend Nick, who unfortunately was killed. And she had to hide under his body to survive. All of the kids had heartbreaking stories like these. It was very humbling, getting to sit down and talk to these kids. It's quite a different PSA to what we've done in the past. It's the first time we've featured real shooting victims, and all of them were just amazing. Part of the challenge of this PSA was actually getting these shooting victims together on set. It's obviously a very sensitive subject, and not everybody was ready to really talk about their experience. On this, kind of Alex Rubin, who had directed most of the previous PSAs, he was amazing. He's had a lot of experience working with non-actors in the past, so he was really incredible at creating like a safe environment for these kids to open up on set. As a non-profit organisation, Senegal Promise, they can't lead on paid media to get noticed. So the aim is always to make films that get talked about, and this one did. PSA had over 1 million views in 24 hours, and the press coverage it got was kind of equal to like $3.5 million in media value. It was shared by celebs, politicians, and perhaps, like best of all, Katy Perry herself, who posted it to all of our social channels, which was that was a real success for us. So yeah, check out SenegalPromise.org because they're the one doing the amazing work. We just write the ads.
Thank you, Jim. Next up, we have Amy Merill, co-founder and digital director of Plan C.
Thanks so much, Jessica. I am the digital director and co-founder of Plan C, which is a nonprofit information campaign on abortion pills and how people are accessing them through the mail and telehealth from all 50 states. So what you need to know is this, that at the same time that politicians are decimating access to abortion, there is hope. Abortion pills are changing the landscape of access across our country. Medication abortion is a safe, modern method. It's 5 pills taken up to 11 weeks and backed by over 2 decades of research proving its safety and effectiveness when used at home. The method has been around for 20 plus years. So why is this news? So much has changed during the pandemic, and modern telehealth has taken off in the 24 states that allow it, providing fast, convenient home delivery, often at much lower costs than clinic-based care. And in states where politicians have blocked access to telehealth abortion, activist physicians and online pharmacies are creating new routes of access under a human rights and equity lens, the idea that your zip code shouldn't determine your options. So on the Plan C website, which earned a gold medal from Anthem, the Guide to Pills is our core resource, a 50-state directory on what's available by mail, as well as medical and legal hotlines, FAQs, and more, supporting an individual in making a decision that's best for them. The site also speaks to medical providers, an ambassador program for volunteers as well. And for the past 6 years, we've shared this evidence-based information to bring the option into the mainstream, just like it is all around the world. We know that this coming year, we'll see even more of these harmful political barriers, which is why spreading the word now is more important than ever. We also work by partnering with other nonprofits and reproductive health organizations, as well as companies and brands, developing simple, effective communications campaigns for their own communities using social media, billboards, events, press, you name it. Because what it comes down to is this: abortion pills belong to the people. They're safe for self-use. They're available online and by mail, often for low cost or sliding scale, and with free hotlines and support. They belong in the hands of the people who need them, full stop. If you share this vision, you can help by sharing out the website and the guide to pills. Share at Plan C Pills on social media, or contact us to partner and get the message out more broadly. To learn more, visit plancpills.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy. And last but not least, we have Liz Lowdy, Creative Director of BBH USA, and Rafa Rizuto, Chief Creative Officer of BBH USA, to share their project with Chief Glass Ceiling Breaker.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us and choosing our work. The term glass ceiling can be defined as an invisible but very real barrier to advancement for women, especially those of minorities. On January 20th, 2021, the biggest glass ceiling in US history was shattered with the inauguration of Kamala Harris as vice president. She was the first woman, Black American, and South Asian American to hold that position. And to celebrate this historic moment, we launched the Glass Ceiling Breaker Project. It's a campaign that's centered around this massive portrait of Kamala Harris made from broken glass. Working with the amazing Missing Pieces production company and our amazing client chief, we commissioned Swiss artist Simon Berger, who has a one-of-a-kind technique for creating projects by breaking glass with hammer. And it's like incredible. As we were preparing to launch in January, the Capitol insurrection happened on the 6th. It presented questions: should we, could we, is it even safe? And despite all the hate that happened that day, moving forward with the installation ended up being exactly what women and girls needed. The portrait was then symbolically placed in the same spot as where Martin Luther King Jr. gave his I Have a Dream speech, and it was met with such a wonderful emotional response. It was a symbol of hope. And I remember a photo of young Black girls in sweatshirts with a slogan, "My VP looks like me," viewing the portrait. It was a moment that represented a line from Kamala Harris in her acceptance speech: "I may be the first woman to hold this office, but I won't be the last." And in that photo, you have the future, looking at a woman who's being celebrated by an incredible art piece because of her accomplishments. And that's the point, really, because the more we can celebrate the achievements of women, the more we give them the respect and the visibility they deserve, the more we can inspire more women and girls to keep on breaking glass ceilings until there are no more glass ceilings to keep us down. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our panelists for presenting today, and thank you for the work that you do. Now we're going to have a discussion so we can bring everyone back up to the panel. Everyone on this panel is working on so many different kinds of issues, really different approaches and executions, and so many different places with so many different communities. Can you share one thing that you've learned through this work that could help anyone working in the social impact space kind of across any issue area? You can just raise your hand if you want to jump in. Okay, Jody.
I'll break the ice. I think this is true of any issue area, and it's something that I've learned again and again, working, first for 15 years on climate and environmental issues, now working in children's development and education. If you want the best solutions to any issue, you need to listen to those most impacted by the problem.
Thank you. Absolutely. Jamie?
Just to pile on to that, you're also never going to please all sides. You have to stick to your ideals and your mission and just keep going, regardless of all the different messaging you're bombarded with, and relying on that direct source that Jody mentioned, going right to the source and understanding what they need, and then sort of putting blinders on to the noise.
Great advice.
All right, jumping in. I think to not get stuck on perfectionism and to just focus on action, just jump in. You'll learn no matter what. If it's right on target, great. If it's a little bit off and you have to tweak it a little bit, it's better just to be in the space listening and learning than to just be stuck waiting to get the perfect plan.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All great advice. Let's see. For any of you, did you have, working in this space, did any of you have a moment where you really knew that you wanted to pursue a career in social justice, social impact work? And can you share that moment and sort of what was maybe one of your first jobs working in the social impact space? Rafa?
Hi, I can say a few things. Someone coming from advertising, right, and growing up in Brazil, that these issues are everywhere. This is something that I keep telling the agency. I really do believe that we can use our creativity not just to sell products and services, is to create an impact in the world, right? Whatever that is, since I had this epiphany, many years ago, I think this is something we can all do. It's such a powerful industry that deals with powerful brands with money. that what if we use that and I think that the audience is looking for this. It's not how brands do products and service, how they behave, they impact in the world, like sustainability. So what's their purpose? So I think the learning is that, talking from the end industry, I think we really have a power, to create an impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can share. My first job was being a teacher. Volunteer teacher for like elementary school kids in an island. And from that, I learned that just by showing up, you're really making an impact on children. I think that was a really clear call for us, or for me rather, that we have to show up for children, and that's why I'm still in this space some 20 years later.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I want to say something on this. I think working in advertising, it can be quite difficult sometimes. We've all had that kind of moral dilemma of certain things we've worked on. So I think when you do get an opportunity to work on a purpose brief or for an organization, a nonprofit, then it really makes the job fulfilling. And that's the most rewarding part of the job for me.
That's awesome.
I can share. I was 22 when I lost my father to a rare disease. And so I had this wake up moment just as I was stepping into my career. And I was in the Bay Area growing up, and I was seeing kind of the explosion of tech, but also a passion for change and social change and seeing what we were capable of. And so I in hindsight, see it as a real gift that I had this really deeply impactful moment in my own life at a time when I had to reckon with, what do I want my own legacy to be, or just how do I want to spend my time here on earth, knowing that life is short and you have this opportunity to make it count. So I got to step into the career with that kind of intention because of this devastating thing that had happened in our family.
I think that's, personal experience is something that drives so many and motivates so many to do this kind of work, stand up for injustice, become activists, things like that. I just think it's such an interesting time that we're living in where, when I was growing up or was in high school and college, it never really occurred to me that this could be like a job that I had, that I could pair my passion for social justice with what I did with my time every day. So I think it's just a really interesting space and time that we're living in. Do you have any advice that you would give to young people who are, potentially looking to pursue a career in social impact work? Liz?
I think it's surrounding yourself with the right people, whether it's your coworkers, team members who you partner with, people who believe in the same work and champion it. Because with this kind of work, whether it's a project in an ad campaign, or if it is your actual day-to-day job, you're going to be met with challenges, I guess, backlash, and the right people are everything. They're going to inspire you to keep going when you're met with anything, a challenge. And they're going to really be there to support you and remind you that what you're doing is really important, and it needs to be out in the world.
Otto?
I would just add that I think anybody coming into the sector should be incredibly aware of how mutable and evolving it all is, right? Purpose seems to be often treated as a kind of an unflagging, unchanging commitment, and the truth is, it used to be enough to say that you were involved or giving money to certain projects, and then I think more and more people demanded to see the actual results or outcome of a company or organization's commitment to a charity. I'm speaking from an advertiser's point of view. And then you have these seismic events like, what's going on right now, which changes, for a long time, we've been having a conversation about almost at the top of the hierarchy of needs, about self-actualization, about bringing your authentic self to work and so on. And then you see the basic tenets of shelter and survival kind of upended. And what does that mean for our industry and the type of campaigns that we tackle and the kind of messages that we want to communicate over the next year or so? I mean, the big thorny challenges that we've been looking at haven't gone away. Climate change, and indeed the events that are happening in Europe could accelerate those concerns that we have as well, whether it's equity or climate change or any of the big, longer burning issues. But I just think that it is not an unchanging industry, and I think it continues to move very quickly. And anybody entering into it needs to really become a student of these various shifts that continue to happen each and every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we used to, the way that a lot of corporations, for example, used to approach this work as corporate social responsibility, right? Where they had, their business model and the work that they were doing over here. And then maybe they donated to some nonprofits to kind of offset that on the other side. And now the way that I think culturally we're looking at this is to have a real integration, especially from the business perspective, between a brand's voice, a brand's business model, and the way that they show up every day in society in terms of sustainability, equity, a variety. And it's
typically the customer that forces that, I would say, as well. In the case of corporations being involved, there is a degree of proactivity, but I think it's driven mostly by the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my case, actually, I always thought I have a fashion brand and it's so all consuming that there's no room or space for anything else. And then developing the laundry truck and getting into the community, it actually completely redirected the brand and our focus. So it kind of had an effect, like a halo effect on the whole company, and it made us rethink everything we were doing and change our mission the other way. So I think being in this social space can have the power actually to sort of redefine everything that you do. And because it is so meaningful.
Absolutely. I want to be mindful of time for this session. So I have one last question. As I said in the top, and we were kind of discussing here, we're living through tumultuous times, a global pandemic, the conflict in Ukraine, wildfires, climate crisis. It seems like every few months we have a new once-in-a-generation crisis that we are staring down and trying to solve for and trying to live through. So let's try to end on a hopeful note. What does everyone do to prioritize your mental health while you do this work? And also, how do you stay hopeful? How do you stay motivated? How do you stay engaged when you can often be confronted with something that feels very heavy and bigger than maybe what you could do?
Stay out of social media.
Good one. That's a good one. Jody?
Yeah, I think this is probably my advice for a young person getting into this sector, which is to cultivate parts of your life that aren't all about the social impact work that you do, that it's important to keep some balance. And truthfully, I am not always hopeful, but one trick that I have to stay motivated is to celebrate the incremental victories, because the problems can seem so big and so systemic and so long-term that it's important to remember to celebrate even a small win along the way.
Jody, I love that. I think it also resonates with the gratitude practice of being sure to pause and acknowledge all the things that are working. And yes, I think it's really part of the exceptionality of this time is that we know so much about all of these other things that are happening at once. And I think one other perspective, my spiritual practice lets me ask the question of what if this were not happening to us, but happening for us? So what is it catalyzing? What is it raising up to the surface so that we can deal with it and build the world that we want to see?
That's great. And I just wanted to add too, someone had said at the top about surrounding yourself with people who have the same mission or have a lot of the same values. And I think that is also a way to remind you that you're not doing this alone. It's not your only, you're not the only person who has to shoulder this burden. We're all, the impact we're making is going to be far greater if we're doing it together. And I think that probably is one reason why we're all here too, is that we had a team behind us who really cared and wanted to see some of the same results that we all hope to see.
That's great. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I second that, and just being here today and being inspired by all the work everybody's doing. It's really, it's so gratifying to be amongst this group, and it does keep moving everything forward. You know, being surrounded by like-minded people doing wonderful work.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for being part of our session. Thank you all so much for the work that you do every single day and your community. Congratulations on being a winner. I hope everyone will take a look at our website and check out all of the winners. I know when I sent the link to my mom to see what I had been up to, she said, "This really gives me hope and really makes me feel really inspired of all of the amazing people out there who are doing this." And I think sometimes we get stuck in our own busyness and what we're doing. And so just so grateful for you all to come together, to share, and just take a moment to reflect on everything that everyone has accomplished and, you know, continue to organize and build new ways that we can work together and strive for a more equitable world. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.